autistic
Yeah,
girl.
do you know, that was a big deal, having Greta show up as the messiah of climate change.
Yeah, and she scolded everyone, and it didn't work at all. Because
I think it was the opposite.
The opposite.
I think it had the opposite effect because it caused me, I mean, I just did an article, it'll appear in the next issue of Culture Wars, but it got me thinking about this thing, you know? I read her mother's memoir. Do you know about her mother? Her
no, she looks like a dude.
She does now, but
she's got a big arm,
she lifts weights. She
chisel.
lifts weights. She lifts weights now. But back in 2009, she won the Eurovision Song Contest in Moscow, and I mean, you know, she looked gorgeous. I thought, you know, and she had been an opera singer before that. She's completely famous, and Greta I can imagine Greta watching mommy on TV, and thinking, why isn't she here?
Oh, exactly.
Why isn't mommy? And so what Greta happened, this is all in the memoir, by the way. Greta in 2014 stops eating. She just stops eating. And the whole family gets into this huge crisis mode. And eventually, Greta wrecks her mother's career. Basically wrecks it. Because Greta is now 11 years old. She's entering...
That's fascinating.
She's entering puberty.
Right.
Okay, now when you enter puberty in Sweden, basically you go to school and you watch a sex ed video. Now when
made by that director probably. What was that guy's name?
Bergman.
Yeah.
No, Bergman didn't do this. Bergman didn't do this. So you're feeling vulnerable because there are these changes in your body, and then where's mom? I'd like to talk to you about this, Mom. Well, you're off in Moscow or someplace else being famous.
Right.
And so as a result, she just shut it down. She said, I'm not going to eat.
Right.
And that basically shut the family down. And so they're trying to figure out, so they're taking her to one psychiatrist after another. And then finally, the mother comes and she says, it was the video she saw in class.
It's anything except for her abandonment.
Well, the video she mentioned is about plastic floating in the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
And then she said, well, it's obvious. My daughter is mentally ill because of climate change.
I mean, that's the conclusion I'd reach if I was her.
It wasn't the fact that you're not there to explain what puberty is.
Right.
That you send her into a school where they have this sex ed film that is absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
In the fact that it turns little boys into predators and turns little girls into victims.
Right.
And so she's feeling more and more vulnerable. So the only place she can find refuge in school, this is in the memoir, is she runs into the girls' room and sits on the toilet and hides out because she's in a world that is out of control.
Yeah.
And so
Where was the dad? What was the dad doing?
Dad was trying to take the place of mom. But this is the whole big picture of the story of social engineering in Sweden, right. Where it triumphed. It vanquished everything. It destroyed the Lutheran Church. It became the replacement for Christianity. It's Christianity without Christ. Everybody's on board. The mothers have these big careers, and then suddenly the next generation shows up, and they're all mentally ill.
Right, right.
It's like, what happened? Why are we all mentally ill? Well, it's climate change.
It must be.
It must be climate change.
Sweden's too warm now.
She said it. I'm not kidding. She said it in the memoir. She said, well, in Africa, climate change manifests itself as drought, you know, where the people don't have food. And it's mudslides in South America, and in Sweden, it's mental illness. She said that? She said it. It's in the book. So she said, climate change drove us all crazy. No, there's another story here.
Right.
And I think this is the way things work. So it comes out that the head of MIT, the professor of meteorology, the chair of meteorology at MIT says, no, it has nothing to do, CO2 has nothing to do with it, it's a natural cycle. So why did I look that up? Well, because Greta showed up.
Exactly.
So Greta puts it in everybody's mind, and everybody looks into it, and now the whole thing blows up.
Yeah.
It blows up. I just don't see, I mean, as I said before, I think this is the way God works in human history.
It really is.
You know?
Yeah, he lets you do it to yourself.
Yes. And the Swedes got what they wanted, and it turned the children into monsters and tyrants. And they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to solve it.
It's almost like the lowercase I with the iPhone. It's almost like but it's like the insignificant narcissist, where they don't even have, it's like screw tape letters a little bit, where they don't even have the chutzpah to be a tyrant. They're just closed off. Like, they're not even doing anything. They just sit there and complain and just troll and go on our pages and flag them and say, oh, these people are hateful. They don't do anything.
Well, they don't have their narrative is already used up.
Is there hope for Swedish kids, or can they wake up to this? Or no? Or are they just like...
No. Well, the hope, I mean, I'll send, any Swedes out there, I will send you a copy of the article.
Yeah.
So you can understand what's really going on. But as it's right now, what you see here is, with this situation of social engineering, you create a situation where the mothers are consumed with guilt.
Yeah.
And the girls are consumed with rage.
It happens with abortion too, with the guilt.
Right.
Like, they become these like...
And so it's the same dynamic. Do I face up to what is the real source, or do I come up with something that maybe will solve it for both of us? And I think what they did was, we can't criticize Swedish socialism. I mean, that's the greatest thing ever. It's like sexual liberation. You can't criticize that. That's great. That's what we all live for. So we'll have to find something. And what they found was climate change basically solved that familial problem.
Right.
So mommy doesn't feel guilty anymore, and Greta doesn't feel angry anymore. They're both united against a common enemy. It's neurotic. It's neurotic. It's not connected with reality. So I don't think it's going to last over the long haul. But
No.
This is the type of provisional solution that they're coming up with. And they're imposing it on us. They have this family dynamic
trying.
now.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to say, you've got to do what we say, because we only have 12 more years to live. And you got to do it now. And, well, wait a minute, you know. There's a better explanation here.
Yeah.
Of why you're unhappy.
It's because mommy's in Moscow looking kind of like a dude.
I think that was part of it. I think you can't get away. What is Greta thinking when the whole world, and she didn't look like a dude then. She looked good. This is
No, see, I got some theory. I think they do hormone
2009.
therapies that backfire. I think some of these people that hold on to youth end up looking really weird.
It could be. I've seen her lately, and she does look more masculine than she did then. But she was on top of the world then in 2009. And what's her daughter thinking? Well, that's great that you're so famous, but what about me?
Right.
What about me?
And then they have a hatred of people because of it.